Wonder Diamond, South India's largest lab-grown diamond brand, stores at Chennai, Coimbatore, Bangalore and Hyderabad.
Hello and welcome to Galata Plus. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Senna Hegde's 1744 White Alto with Sharafudheen. Now, Senna Hegde began with a feature-length documentary set in Kannangad, which is where 1744 White Alto is also set. In his first feature, Kadayondu Shuruvagide, he overcame the generic beats of a rom-com by adding a coming-of-age element. His second feature, Tinkala Shanisham, a comedy drama again set in Kannangad, was an instant masterpiece. It established Senna as someone whose stories, when told, may seem very thin and very broad, but scratch the generic surface and you'll find a filmmaker who breaks down these broad stories into a series of moments rather than a series of events. What you remember in Tinkala Shanisham are little flavorful things like the bitter gourd curry or a woman's right to visit Sabarimala. The reason for this long preamble for this review is this: if there's one thing you can say about Senna Hegde, it's that he's not a safe filmmaker. You can't slot him, and 1744 White also therefore is some kind of stoner comedy, again totally different from anything he's done before. Now we open with a landscape right out of a western. It looks like a parched desert but with patches of shrubs. A car snakes into this visual and there's another vehicle, and there is a transaction about which we do not hear a single word. The camera is still far away in a wide shot. Think about that again. This is the inciting incident. This is the thing that sets up the film, and it sets up two of the most important characters, and yet we do not have a clue about what is happening. It's brilliant. As it turns out, this transaction that we are kept far away from, this transaction itself is what Alfred Hitchcock used to call a MacGuffin, something that you think is the focus of the story while it actually isn't. The rest of the film, after this opening stretch, Sriraj Ravindran is the brilliant cinematographer. The rest of the film, it revolves around the adventures, or rather the misadventures, of a series of characters led by a cop, wonderfully played by Sharafudheen. From his three features, there's another thing evident about Senna. Sharafudheen has been in enough films to show us what a solid performer he is, but Senna pushes him and everyone else in the cast into a zone where every look, every line has a beat or a pause or something just a little bit off. In a very, very funny stretch involving the arrest of a very dumb liquor smuggler, one of the cops has a casual punchline that ends the scene. The way he utters that line so casually and yet with such a quirky flavor, I burst out laughing. That's the word that describes the film. Quirky, also perhaps bizarre, in the sense that out of nowhere we get into the zone of a circus with a couple of these real life clowns outfitting themselves like actual clowns, like big round noses and all. Heck, this is the kind of film where a getaway car has a Rubik's Cube in the glove compartment. 1744 White Alto is a crime comedy where the writing has arcs and isn't merely a bunch of jokey scenes. An early plot point talks about a new church, and a late plot point revolves around a giant crucifix. A man who objects to being called dumb doesn't utter a word, in the sense that he may actually be speech impaired or dumb in the other sense. And we get a running series of gags involving the Sharafudheen character's domestic life. The bit around his mother's reaction to a cup of tea made by his wife is another point where I cracked up. But this time, Senna's timing isn't always on point. There's a scene in a seedy hotel involving the world's most disinterested receptionist and an implied gay angle. It should have been super funny, but the pacing is a bit off and we are stranded with a joke that doesn't quite land. Now, comedy is the most subjective of genres, so there may be those of you who say, "What is wrong with you? That scene was so funny. I laughed a lot. I died laughing." Sure, for everything that worked, say a random bit of the lottery seller, there were things that seemed to be trying too hard. There are amusingly political bits about cow vigilantes and love jihad, and just the sight of a man in a Fly Emirates t-shirt is super funny, but a bit woven around the Hollywood film Home Alone feels very forced. And time and again I got the sense that the problem was with the deliberateness of the pacing. Now, pacing has always been a very big part of Senna's films. Way back while reviewing Kadayondu Shuruvagide, I wrote, the pace is deliberate but not slow. This aspect worked in that film and in Tinkala Shanisham, but it isn't as sure-handed here. 1744 White Alto is a fascinating addition to Senna's resume, but as a standalone film, I wished it had come together better. Quirkiness works best as flavoring. Here, it is the main dish. I was left hungry for more. And that's it about 1744 White Alto. If you like this video, do subscribe to Galata Plus. Plus and see you soon at the movies.
Wonder Diamonds, South India's largest lab-grown diamond brand, stores at Chennai, Coimbatore, Bangalore and Hyderabad.